The Reds got their first win of 2025 as they beat Accrington Stanley to advance to the fourth round of the FA Cup. In today's video, we will cover the 5 major talking points from the game, go over all of the latest Liverpool news from the last 24 hours that includes some big Khvicha Kvaratskhelia to Liverpool news as Twist has emerged as reported green light has been given. There is so much to cover in today's video. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. Liverpool are into the draw for the fourth round of the FA Cup after a 4-0 victory over Accrington Stanley that saw goals from Federico Chiesa and Jadon Dance. A much-changed Red side cruised through their third-round tie against League 2 opposition, ensuring their progress to the next stage. Chiesa and Dance added the gloss on the afternoon, having come off the bench after a first half kicked off by efforts from Diogo Jota and Trent Alexander-Arnold. It was a result most will have predicted beforehand, with Arne Slot's side living up to the billing as they aim to continue their outstanding season so far. The draw for the fourth round of the FA Cup will take place shortly after Arsenal versus Man United on Sunday, January 12th. That game kicks off at 3 p.m, meaning the draw can be expected to be held at around 5 p.m, unless the tie at the Emirates goes to extra time. It will be broadcast live on BBC One, with Martin Keown and Mark Schwarzer pulling the balls out of the hat. Liverpool are ball number 10. Ties for the fourth round of the FA Cup will be held in the week commencing February 3rd, with Liverpool hosting Tottenham in the second leg of their Carabao Cup semi-final on Thursday, February 6th. Their FA Cup tie is likely to be played on Sunday, February 9th. However, the rescheduled Merseyside derby was expected to be confirmed for Tuesday, February 11th, with the Reds facing a fixture pile-up either way. The FA Cup final will take place at Wembley on Saturday, May 17th. In some big Khvicha Kvaratskhelia news, and days after it emerged that Liverpool were considering a move for Napoli winger Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, the Georgian has now officially requested a transfer as he has given a green light to move clubs this month. Kvaratskhelia was revealed as a potential January target for the Reds on Thursday night, with the Athletic's David Ornstein and the Times' Paul Joyce reporting their interest. Paris Saint-Germain have been in active talks with Napoli over a deal, with the Serie A club seeking a deal worth €80 million, but Liverpool are seen as waiting in the wings for an opportunistic move. That could now take a step closer, with Napoli manager Antonio Conte confirming on Saturday that the 23-year-old had requested a transfer. "We are talking about an important player," Conte told reporters. "Last summer I spoke to the president and I wanted to have some technical certainties by demanding the confirmation of some important players. Even though he and others had asked to be sold, I worked on it and managed to keep who I wanted." Kvaratskhelia asked the club to be sold. "I am disappointed. I realised that it was a bolt from the blue and I am taking a step back. I would never want him to think that I have chained him here if he were to stay. I did it last summer, thinking of convincing him of the goodness of the project, but evidently I did not succeed. We are losing an important player. It remains to be seen, of course, whether Liverpool will now begin the process of attempting a deal for Kvaratskhelia, or if this transfer request is simply paving the way for his switch to PSG. Reacting to the initial reports, journalist David Lynch suggested that the club's approach could emulate that scene when they signed Luis Diaz from Porto in 2022. "This is something they've done before. This is an approach we've seen them take previously," Lynch explained on YouTube. "I remember back when Luis Diaz joined Liverpool in the January window that Tottenham went as far as agreeing a fee with Porto before Liverpool pounced. I think what they did in that situation, and I think this is a similar approach they'll take this time around, is allow Spurs to do all the legwork really before diving in and making their move. Allowing Spurs to find out what fee Porto would agree in that case, and then be ready to make the move. So I think it's going to be a similar approach here, find out what it would take for Napoli to sanction a sell, and then dive in." Liverpool's FA Cup adventure started with a nostalgic feel and a comfortable win. No Ian Rush or glasses of milk in sight, but a rotated team, plenty of youngsters, and a 4-0 win over Accrington. In this part of the video, we will discuss the 5 major talking points from the game. One winger with a future, one without. Rio Ngumoha was the sole starter from outside the usual first-team group, with Arne Slot entrusting the 16-year-old winger with a senior debut, a full debut, and an Anfield FA Cup debut all in one. The reasons for inclusion were quickly apparent, with the youngster happy to run with the ball at his feet, committing defenders and showing a rapid change of direction in possession. Obviously, a few traits of youth were in evidence, a couple of rash challenges, a propensity to hold the ball for an hour or two at a time when a quick pass was better. But it was an intriguing and exciting first outing for the teen, who clearly has a big future ahead if progression in his game continues. He faded second half, but a really good 71 minutes of action shows there's more to come. At the other end of the scale, when it came to the lineup though, was another winger. No start again for Federico Chiesa. Clearly, Slot and the coaches need to be wary to an extent over his game time after minimal involvement and fitness issues this term, but it was a big surprise to see him left as sub against a fourth-tier team. In fairness, Chiesa had an impactful second half, creating a few chances for himself and others, showing a willingness to run plenty, and later on struck the post with one shot and buried a long ranger with another. Even so, he's already been linked with a move away, so let's see what it leads to. Minutes managed ahead of one of the games of the year. Rewind 5 months and not too many would have picked out Nottingham Forest versus Liverpool on a midweek January evening as a defining match of the Premier League season, but here we are. The Reds are top, but the other Reds are also one of the challengers. Other than Arsenal's goal difference, this would be first visiting second. As such, Slot understandably left several players out entirely, the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah nowhere to be seen. There was an element of managing game time with Dominic Szoboszlai, without a start since before Christmas, playing the first 45, Trent Alexander-Arnold playing an hour, and both Darwin Núñez and Diogo Jota getting a much-needed chunk of game time in attack. We can of course expect the lineup to revert in midweek, but it's vital that the next players in line, first off the bench or options for rotation, get rhythm and game time and are able to impact when called upon. Which youngsters impressed? Youngsters is a bit subjective here, given we had 22-year-old Tyler Morton and 16-year-old Ngumoha basically filling the same role as second-string options. But still, those who are somewhere between academy and slot regulars had a mixed old day. Morton himself was tidy, neat, generally decent, but again didn't really have much chance to show himself of a particularly elite technical level. Gerald Kwanzaa, meanwhile, was probably more proactive about being impactful moving out of defense, though did get caught on the ball a few times. Defensively, he didn't have much to deal with, but it was a much-needed 90 for him. As above, Ngumoha played well first half, then off the bench it was quiet and comfortable for James McConnell and Trey Nyoni. Other than Morton, who simply looks to have his route to regular action blocked, the rest can all be fairly pleased with another step forward for them, and they've done themselves no harm at all. Jayden Danns, next season's super sub, off the bench, immediately energetic, very quickly on the score sheet. There's something of a throwback about Jayden Danns at times, but he's also a clever and electric attacker with forward-thinking movement and clearly a real eye for goal. The youngster started and finished the move for 3-0, turning well in the middle third and pushing the ball on, but following the move into the penalty box and absolutely rattling in his finish, confident as ever for his third senior goal for the Reds. Incidentally, they've all come in the FA Cup, the first Liverpool player to do that since Jason McAteer in 1996. This term we've plenty of attackers and Danns has been injured early on too, but no doubt there will be a reshuffle of sorts in the front line this summer, contract issues have to be resolved, and interest from elsewhere will continue to crop up. But perhaps there will also result in a more regular spot for what will then be a 19-year-old Danns. Maybe not every match, maybe nothing more than the sixth choice in the front three, but still a place for a really promising young player as an impact sub, a goal-getter when we need one and another potential player for the future. He certainly hasn't let the club down so far when called upon. Everything to play for if rhythm returns. There's no doubt that the first team had a bit of a dip in the last two outings against Manchester United and Spurs, but tiredness, weather conditions, tricky opponents, and the relentless fixture run would all have had something to do with that. And, despite a draw and a defeat, we're still in every competition, still on course to play every match we possibly can, still top domestically and in Europe. Therefore, this weekend off should be a bonus for most, if they bounce back and start sharply and positively against Nottingham Forest. That game has lots of significance now, but there's no reason for anything other than to think we can go all in and find top form again. And just maybe our FA Cup run will continue for quite some time yet too. That is all for today's video. Thank you for watching, and if you did enjoy today's video, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel to join our fast growing community. Thank you for watching.